Hey all, Blake here with another video, and I was thinking lately, it's been quite a while since I did one of my top 10s, so today I'm going to bring to you my top 10 favourite Angelfish Tankmates, and my plan for this one is not to give you the same handful of top 10s that are all over the internet, so hopefully I have something a little bit different for you today. Let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so as a bit of a preface, when selecting Angelfish Tankmates, you're going to want something that is kind of medium aggressive. You don't want something really timid that's just going to get bullied into the back corner of your aquarium. You're also going to want something fairly speedy so that they will be able to get away if those angelfish are in the breeding mood. You don't want anything too nippy because the angelfish also do have quite long trailing fins of their own. And last of all, you want to select tankmates that aren't going to be too small. A lot of people pair angelfish with neon tetras and don't realize that eventually the angelfish will get big enough to be able to actually consume a neon tetra. So you want to select tankmates between about the 1 to 3 inch mark or the 2.5 to 7.5 centimeter mark, in my opinion. So with that said, let's go through 10 of my absolute favorite pairings for angelfish and kick off with number 1. My number 1 favorite pairing for angelfish is, of course, rainbowfish. I've done it successfully for years now. Rainbowfish bring a heap of activity, a heap of color, and they're also fairly chunky. So if you want something that's going to really invite those angelfish out into the mid-water, that's going to not be outcompeted for food, and generally it's going to be a very peaceful option, then I'd definitely recommend rainbowfish. In particular, I really like Praecox rainbowfish or Bozemanite rainbowfish as kind of the easy to find staples. I'm also a big fan of turquoise rainbowfish as well, so give one of those 3 a go and you won't go wrong. Number 2 on the list is, of course, Corydoras. Very active bottom dweller. Great option to fill out all of the levels of the aquarium when, of course, you've got the angelfish in the mid to top water. They'll give you a nice shark-like effect at the bottom of your aquarium. If I wanted to recommend some species to use, I'd go with some of the larger ones. They're all very similar, and I wouldn't recommend mixing these because they can interbreed, but I'd go with bronze, albino, or any of the laser cories, whether that is green or gold. They're all going to get a bit larger, and just overall, they're probably going to be very accessible for the most part. So I recommend that sort of line of Corydoras as a good size and availability to pair with your angelfish. Number 3 on the list, for something a little bit more boisterous and feisty, I'd recommend Kribensis. Should be really easy to find once again, really affordable as well. Bring some nice pops of color with some yellows, purples and whatnot. The only word of warning I would suggest is only breed one of these species within the aquarium. So if you want to breed the angelfish, then maybe get a trio or more of angelfish and a single Kribensis, most likely a female because they have the most color. Or if you want to breed Kribensis, get a couple of nice male angelfish or just a solo angelfish specimen, and you should have some nice activity once again throughout the water column. It can be a bit of a disaster zone if they both get breeding at the same time, and that's where you can start to run into issues, so I'd avoid that if possible. Other than that, Kribensis are fairly peaceful during the other 90% of the time, and I just think that it's always a good idea to have things on multiple layers of the aquarium, so give Kribensis a go for sure. Whilst we're in the corner of cichlids, I've got 2 more to run through, so numbers 4 and 5 are blue Acara and Bolivian rams. So same kind of story again, you definitely don't want to have pairs of these as well as breeding pairs of angelfish, because when multiple cichlid species get going, it can be a bit of a battle zone, but they'll each bring really nice color. Blue Acaras bring that flash of blue through the aquarium, some nice orange trailers if you get a nice male, and the Bolivian rams will give you some nice flashes of red. It's a bit more subdued color. They're not as flashy as blue Acara, but they will bring more of a natural kind of look. The thing about Bolivian rams that I always harp on about is don't be taken back by what they look like in the fish store, because they aren't colored up yet. Get them home, get them some nice food, get them to grow up, maybe give them some live foods as well, and they'll repay you in spades with some really nice color and size, and just overall be a great specimen. The Bolivian ram actually has the scientific name of Microgeophagus altispinosus, which means that they're a small earth eater. So don't keep them on any sharp substrate and sharp gravel. They'll do best on sand substrate. So basically, depending on how you're setting up your angelfish aquarium, you might decide whether to go with Kribensis, Acaras, or rams in that respect. But either option is a great pairing for something that's going to be a bit feisty, something that's going to stick up for themselves, and that's going to give you plenty of color. So give any of those a go. With that in mind, I definitely wouldn't put one of each of those in the aquarium. I'd like to keep only one bottom dweller, so pick only one of them. Don't put one Kribensis, one Bolivian ram, and one Acara in there, because yeah, it's definitely going to be a territory battle, even if they're not in breeding mode. For something that's going to be very active and very colorful, I like Odessa Barbs. You can see I've got them paired with my blue Pranoi angelfish here, and the blue and the red contrast really, really well. The males are going to be super active. They're really, really hard to get on camera because they're constantly moving around. They can be bred within the home aquarium as well, but they're an egg scatterer, so you're going to have to put in some work to actually harvest those eggs out. But you'll get something really active, really colorful, and something that's going to be able to get away from those angelfish, but also they're going to just mainly fight amongst themselves. So to ensure that, don't just get 2 Odessa Barbs and expect them to leave your angelfish alone. You need to get a group of about 6 to 8 so that they'll infight amongst themselves, compete for dominance, and leave your angelfish alone for the most part. So Odessa Barbs are my favorite barb, and I definitely give those a go. Something that's really, really a peaceful option if you're very concerned about aggression, I'd go with a honey gourami. They're going to be more of a top dweller, but they're going to give you a nice yellow sort of coloration. They're not the biggest fish ever, but they're a decent size, so they're not a worry about getting eaten or anything like that. To ensure things are going to go well, I'd include some floating plants, you know, maybe some red root floater or frog bit, maybe a bit of water wisteria floating at the top. Give the honey gourami somewhere to hide if the angelfish do get a bit aggressive, but other than that, I have no concerns about pairing honey gouramis with angelfish, and even you can keep about, depending on the size of your aquarium, 6 or so honey gouramis together, and it'll make a really, really nice tank. So give those a go for sure. If we head back down to the bottom of the aquarium now, I'd like some of the larger loaches as options. They're going to be great for snail cleanup and eating all of that detritus and uneaten food. They are scaleless fish though, so they're kind of prone to ick and other diseases, so you're going to have to make sure that you keep really nice water. And some of them get pretty large. The 3 that I'm going to recommend are zebra loaches, yo-yo loaches, or clown loaches, because they're all going to get big enough to be able to not be concerned about an angelfish. I reckon a coolie loach or some of the other smaller loaches might become a bit of a spaghetti noodle snack for your angelfish, so I probably wouldn't go that small, but yo-yo loaches and up are definitely going to be able to hold their own. Might sound counterintuitive, but the more hiding places they have, the more you'll see them and the more they'll be out and about. So give them plenty of caves and hides, and a nice planter tank doesn't go astray either. Keep them in groups of 6 or more and they'll go really, really nice, especially if you want to introduce some new and unique patterns into your aquarium like that of the yo-yo loach or the zebra loach. Can definitely be achieved with loaches. Next up, I've got another barb for you. These guys are definitely not aggressive, but they're a nice active and a larger sort of fish for the mid column of your aquarium. I'd recommend, they have lots of names, but Denison barbs, Torpedo barbs, or Roseline sharks as a really great pairing for angelfish. I'd probably get the Roseline sharks first because you'll allow them to grow up big enough to not get picked on. But once they're at that big size, you'll get some really, really nice flashes of reds and yellows and blacks all through the middle of your aquarium as they flash and dart through. They're not going to be aggressive whatsoever to your angelfish, and they don't have any sort of fins that are going to be targets for angelfish attack either. So I just really like that combo, especially if you've got a big tank like a 75 gallon, a 4-foot or 120 centimeter tank or something like that. And last but not least, whilst we're in the middle layer of the aquarium, I'd go with any of the larger tetras. Get a big school, and I just really like the feature fish of a nice big beautiful angelfish surrounded by all of these larger tetras. You can do a nice biotype style aquarium with some wood and some tannins, and it can look really, really nice. Achieve that Amazonian effect, which is the natural habitat for for the angelfish. So I'd go with any of the following species, whether that be bleeding heart tetras, red-eye tetras, Buenos Aires tetras, Colombian tetras. There's so many options. Main things to steer clear of is, once again, that size range. You want to get definitely upwards of an inch in size, so no ember tetras, neon tetras, and that sort of thing. Make sure they don't have any flamboyant fins. Like I really do like Congo tetras, but I wouldn't recommend those because I do think that their finnage would be a bit of a target for attack. But any of those medium to large size tetras can bring in whatever color you're looking to achieve, that activity. They'll eat everything and just be really peaceful, and yeah, highlight the beauty of that angelfish perfectly. So hope you like this list. Definitely snuck in more than 10 species, but I'm really passionate about angelfish, and I hope you are too. And I hope that any of these tank mates can really accentuate the angelfish that you do have or that you plan to get. If you like this video, it really helps me out to smash like, hit subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And other than that, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.